This is The Yay. I'm Reg Clay.
And Norman G.
This is The Yay, where we talk about life in the theater and the theater of life.
Yay!
Alrighty, and as always, we are sponsored by Central Works and New Play Theater, headed up by Jan Sleifler and Gary Graves. Central Works, reinventing theater one play at a time, and we want to thank them for sponsoring us. And we have a fantastic guest, a young but really talented actor, Aaron Jones. How you doing, man?
Good. Happy to be here. Excited to talk to you guys.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. And you and I, we worked together on the Brecht Project. I'm not sure if you were in more than one. I know you were in mine. You played Detective Webb on my thing, Judicial Process, and I'm so thrilled that you were there. Did you work on anything else?
No, that was the only piece I was in.
Okay, and I'm glad you were there. It's interesting when we first cast it. I told Susan, I was like, listen, I want as many diverse, culturally diverse characters as possible. I wanted to have, Asian Americans, African Americans, and white. I didn't want it to be, totally dominated by just all white cast. So I'm glad. I'm very glad that she made it diverse. And so, but also you've done film and you've done a bunch of other stuff, and we'll get more into what's been going on with you. Yeah. Norman, how was your week? And
America.
I know we may get right into current events, but basically, how are you doing?
Yeah. Well, okay. So outside of current events, I've been wrapping up this Afro solo project. We still don't have a date, but I hopefully finished up my portion of it yesterday. I'm directing a solo piece, and so we recorded yesterday. Hopefully, we're done with that. The next Playground is coming up, and so I was one of the readers. We got like over 24 scripts, 36 I think scripts, and 6 of them go into the next Playground, which is going to be on the 18th. And so those two things kind of dominated my week, and I was so lucky on Wednesday that I was busy doing stuff. So I talked to Mara at one point, and she made some comment, and I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, haven't you seen the news? So I looked at it, and then I talked to another friend, same thing. They made some weird comment. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, are you paying attention? So finally, it wasn't until evening that I got a peek at what was going on. But I had another meeting in the evening, so I could not do the deep dive that the rest of America did. So I am not as traumatized as most people have been this week.
Well, I don't know about traumatization, but yeah, we can get right into current events because, boy, that Wednesday. So I in the morning, and I had my RDO because I spent half of the week actually in the office. I work for the DA's office in San Francisco, and sometimes I work from home. So Wednesday I worked from home, and I saw Trump's, he's giving another speech to his followers, and they're on the Capitol grounds, and I'm like, okay, fine. And I go to drop off some dry cleaning, and I come back, and man, these are one of these events that happen during our lifetimes where it's like, hey, where were you when this happened, that happened, whether it's September 11th or the Challenger explosion.
Right.
But boy, did anyone expect this? Just thoughts, comments. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Aaron, I'll go with you. I mean, what's your assessment of January the 6th?
It was very surreal for me. I didn't really realize what was going on. And then just looking at pictures, I felt like it was like some massive episode of South Park or something.
Yeah.
I was like,
good way of putting it. Yeah.
It was so out. It felt like the culmination of like 4 years of alternative reality, and maybe now we're in a new alternative reality. Because I think the day began with realizing that Georgia was one.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not Ossoff. Is it Ossoff who finally won?
Ossoff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about that, and then it was like this total flip, and it was like, wow, yeah. I mean, I still haven't really dove in, so I don't feel particularly traumatized. Feel really
good. Yeah, it was funny. So I do the Alley, the piano bar does a virtual thing on Thursdays. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do a Georgia. I said, did anybody do Georgia yet? Because I'll do Georgia on my mind. But if they had, my backup song was going to be The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And I was going to change it to John Ossoff because the kid in that is Johnny.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's fun. It's funny, Aaron, you and I were talking off mic about just spirituality, especially spirituality within us African Americans. And, you spent your, I think, New Year's you said you were in the woods, just, focusing on your spiritual self, right?
Yeah. My girlfriend and I, well, obviously we're rest in place order, we're not able to go mix with anybody. So we were just thinking of what we could do to kind of move into the new year and have something. We came up with this little ritual where we wrote down some things from this past year. We kind of like reviewed all the wins, and it's like been a really interesting, impactful year in my life, both because of coronavirus and also just because professional movement. And so we did that, and then we wrote down some things we wanted to let go and put them on these little cards, and like made a big bonfire in this Lithia Park in Ashland, and kind of put those into the fire and set an intention to let them go. And that was my New Year's. But yeah,
and I brought that up because some folks are really focused on the spirituality to not be tense, and to let go of the anger and the rage. But there's some folks who are not focused on that at all. I mean, what I saw on the Capitol grounds, I mean, pundits have said, this hasn't happened since the British attacked the Capitol in the War of 1812. And even when I think of just protesting, and some folks are going to say, well, the right, I'm sorry, the left, they protest as well. But in 2016, 4 years ago, when Trump, did his inauguration, there were protests, but nothing like that. I mean, does it shock you? I know it doesn't traumatize you, Norman, but does it shock you?
No. I'm twisted this way. I'm almost happy that it happened, because I think we needed the wake up call. Like, if our legislators are now going to debate all this, right, and what should be done next, everybody who tries to come up with well, they didn't really mean it, well, nothing bad happened, well, this just proved that our democracy could hold on. It's like, wait a minute. That would be like saying, well, they burned down the White House, but our democracy survived, so therefore we don't have to worry about that. And we're like, no. This was a danger. This sort of energy needs to be addressed in some way. I'm not about retribution. I am about putting the guardrails back on.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm stunned that there was such lack of security. I mean, and everyone's been talking about how the cops, would, get on the protests during Black Lives Matter far more. Right. Than they did this time around. And there was just a report today that one of the protesters was a former, I think, an Air Force combat veteran who had strip ties, who had, these tie things. And we were wondering, okay, so what would have happened if they actually did get on the chamber floor while the members of the House were there? What would have happened if Nancy Pelosi were in the room? When
somebody was planning on taking hostages.
Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely crazy. And I have no idea. I mean, what do you think of this whole 25th Amendment and the impeachment thing? I mean, it's only 12 days or 11 days now that he's going to leave. Is that going to do anything, or should it be done even if it's symbolic?
Oof, I don't know. It seems like I'm one for moving forward. It seems like I don't know. I don't know what that would solve, or if he's leaving peacefully. I don't know how that would change anything other than like kind of feeling that there's like some kind of victory or some proof, or I don't know. Yeah, it feels overwhelming to me to consider.
Yeah, I feel like it's like I said, I think the guardrails, I don't care. I would love it if they took Trump down. That'd be great. But realistically, what we want to know is that our presidency is idiot proofed, that we go ahead and we, like you do with a child, you go through and you plug up all the outlets and you do that. There needs to be some safeguards to make sure that nobody does this sort of stuff again, or the whole pardon thing. Like, no, you can't pardon your Bettys. You can't pardon yourself. They need to put some rules in place for that. I don't think they can realistically get anything done in the next 2 weeks. Right. I hope the threat of it keeps him from doing anything else, but I'm not sure it will.
Yeah. And, I agree with you, when you said that you were happy or you were satisfied that this was done. You're absolutely right. People needed to know this is the last straw. If dozens of kids locked up in, in the illegal immigrants, the zero tolerance policy. If that didn't
Right.
outrage you, if his calling black people of black countries, I forget what the name of it was, if that didn't outrage you.
Shithole.
Yeah, yeah,
Shithole countries.
right, exactly. So
And 360,000 Americans dead.
exactly, I think 4,000 in one day, which was either yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
If that doesn't outrage you, well, finally this does. And finally we get Lindsey Graham and all of the other Republicans who are appeasing him now saying, oh, this is enough. And it's just absolutely crazy.
Right.
Other things that happened in the news. Well, I'll mention that last. But Mia Ponsetto, now this is one of these Karen stories. So this is the chick who was in New York and accused the 14-year-old black kid of stealing her phone, and then it hightailed it, ran to California, Ventura. And did any of you hear about this story?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So a very famous black trumpeter, jazz trumpeter, and his son were just in a hotel, and this white woman, and the video was all on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, basically accusing this kid of stealing her phone.
Oh, that. Yes. Yes.
Exactly, that's the one. And of course, spoiler alert, she left it in an Uber. So
Right.
now the latest is that Gayle King, who's becoming sort of the Oprah now, she did an interview with R. Kelly, and now she's doing an interview with this woman. And basically it was just, just white privilege, although she claims to be Puerto Rican, and I forget what her nationality is. But in any case, yeah, that was the crazy thing that went on. And so she hightailed it to Ventura, California, and she got arrested and even slammed the door on a police officer. So yeah, the barbecue Beckys of the world. Georgia Benedict, who was a longtime stage manager of the Contra Costa County Theater, she passed away. She passed away this past week. And I remember working with her. I did, let's see, the very first theater job that I had here in the Bay Area was Tinker's Nebula. And that was a written piece by Michael Tower, who ran Baystage. And we did it at the Contra Costa Community Theater, and we rented it out. And I recently did a piece called Well by Nancy, I want to say Lisa Crone. And Susan Evans directed that, and that was at the Contra Costa County Theater. It's a wonderful little theater. And Georgia Benedict had been around for such a long time, and I got the post on Facebook. I think Kari Moy posted it. Did you ever work in the Contra Costa County Theater, Norman?
Heck no, it's community theater.
Oh yeah, they're not paying, which is a big problem for me. But they do as much as best work they possibly can.
They're known for doing really wonderful work in the community. I don't mean to denigrate. I've been working as an equity actor for a long time.
Yeah. So that's basically it. Those are all of the news that I had. Of course, I had all these wonderful things written down, like Pelosi reelected Speaker of the House, and the Georgia elections. We take
The Georgia
Senate.
election, yeah.
Yeah, which is a wonderful thing. But yeah,
Then we got rain this week. We got nice rain, so
yeah, that was nice. And so I remember asking you, Norman, last week. I'll ask you, Aaron. I mean, so not only was 2020 the end of a year, but also was the end of the decade. I mean, end of the teens, I guess. I don't know, what did that decade mean for you?
Whoa, what did it symbolize? Yeah. Well, I guess I exited my 20s in this decade, entered my 30s, so it kind of felt like this step into adulthood in a way that hadn't existed for me. I don't know. A lot of things changed this year where I became much more financially independent, and so that felt like the culmination of those years, and stepping into a professional life as an actor.
Yeah, and you've done real well. I mean, getting involved in Netflix, and also saw you in a YouTube commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also involved in theater, so you are really hitting it, and that's a great segue for learning a little bit about you, Aaron Jones. So tell us an origin story. How did you get involved in theater? Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Berkeley, California. And
local guy.
My first theater experience, I was a really shy kid. I used to just like read a lot and keep to myself and had a wild imagination. But then in middle school, I was kind of having trouble fitting in. And I had this teacher, Mrs. Foote, who she played us the movie Gladiator, which maybe shouldn't be played to seventh graders.
Are you not entertained?
Exactly. And she would stop it. She would pause it like every 5 minutes and break down the scene and explain like. And she happened to be a theater director, ran the theater program at Longfellow Middle School, and so after that,
Is that Berkeley?
in Berkeley, yeah, yeah, and
Yay!
yeah, yeah. And then so she invited me to. She's like, Aaron, you should come out for the theater program or come be in Greece. And so she cast me as the beauty school dropout angel. Uh,
Nice. So does that mean you sing?
I guess she said I didn't know I sung until she told me I could. So
Nice.
now I definitely say it. I say I wanted to sing it in the low pitch, like I forget the guy who originally sings it, but I remember the piano teacher teaching me how to sing was like, "No, you're gonna sing in the falsetto." So I was there in my powder blue suit singing.
Wow.
Nice. Do you have any siblings, Aaron?
I do, yeah. I have three younger siblings. I'm the oldest, so I have two younger brothers and a younger sister.
All right, the oldest of four, just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So, did you get in? Did you do college?
Yeah, so I went to I actually after during high school I got really into soccer, and so around 16 my goal became play professional soccer. So I went really hard at that, and I went to Sonoma State for a year. I went to Italy for a year and played in this program, this like academy program, and then went to City College in San Francisco, and then I got into UC Santa Cruz where I played and studied for a couple of years, and then after that went to Finland and played semi-professionally
Wow.
for a couple years. And then
Wow, you're good.
the whole time in my mind, I've always wanted to do acting and filmmaking. And so when I came back, I got injured and I was also like 30 or no, like 27, 28, trying out for teams with a bunch of 18-year-olds and feeling like, clock is ticking. I could probably put my energy towards something more, with more potential or upside. So I got back and hopped into acting. Actually, my first theater gig was at Contra Costa Civic Theater.
Oh,
Great.
wow.
What'd you
Oh,
do?
so
Yeah, so I was in All the Way by Robert Schenken.
yeah, that's the piece about Lyndon B. Johnson. I think Kari Moy, Kim Donovan, a bunch of
Oh,
folks that I know
nice.
were in that, and Terrence Smith, I think, too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was that was an amazing experience just because of the big like such a big cast, and I got to was introduced to so many different Bay Area theater folks, and to watch them work was such a great way to start off.
Yeah. So you personally knew Georgia Benedict,
What's I
the
don't
stage manager?
yeah, she wasn't the stage manager for that show, but I think I must have met her at some point. I don't.
Oh, interesting. Okay, okay.
I'll
Um,
see if you
but it
mind.
sounds like you didn't did so you haven't had any training as far as theater is concerned. You just jumped in?
No, actually, so I skipped the whole part. I studied with Rachel Adler, Meisner technique for about 2 years before I
Oh,
got that role. And then I've been, and concurrently it was in this school called the Yacht Bentley Center for Performance, and so I've been in that for 3 years. So as soon as I got back, I did a couple jobs like working on film sets and was thinking to just go be a filmmaker. And then I did this movie where I was watching, I was working as an AC for a cinematographer, and I just was like, I want to be doing the acting work. And so at that point, I enrolled in these classes, and yeah, a couple of years later, then I started actually booking work because there's a lot of things to learn from me.
Yeah, you've been really, really active almost immediately. I mean, usually for some folks, it takes a little bit of time to break in.
Yeah.
I guess, how did you break in? I mean, did you just go in? I mean, do you have an agent who will tell you when the jobs are or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. So, there's these 2 years where I was just studying, working in class, and then I eventually got headshots, and then just contacted an agent, and I think from there they got me a bunch of commercial gigs, and then the way I got into
who's your agent? Just curious.
oh yeah, my agent is Nilo. I'm represented by Nilo Agency. There's a couple
Oh,
there.
I thought it was going to be stars because it seems like everyone's doing stars.
No, I think it's smarter if you're not stars. Stars got too many people.
Right. That was my thought about it because I kind of picked out Nyla just because they're a boutique agency and I was just starting out, and I
Hmm.
didn't really want to get lost in the crowd. Uh, so yeah,
Smart. That's smart.
yeah.
Do you enjoy? I mean, your theater experience. I guess can you compare the theater experience versus the film? I mean, is there one that you enjoy better than the other?
Yeah, actually, it's been really interesting because I would have always thought of been more interested in film just because that was like kind of as a child, I was like my first love, like watching Star Wars and other movies every Friday when my mom would let me watch TV. But I think after doing this first theater performance, I realized like how and from my experience in class, like I really started falling in love with the live audience and like the contact that you have, and then also to be able to live something out in full, right? Instead of just chopped up segments. Like for me, film feels like this reliving of like small moments over and over again, like which is interesting. It's like a whole nother magic trick, but like the theater experience feels very rewarding in a way I couldn't have anticipated until having done it.
That's what when you guys mentioned you mentioned directing in film. Uh, how often do you get that opportunity in film to actually go back over something? It seems like a lot of times they just sort of go, "Okay, that's good enough, moving on."
100%. Yeah. I mean, they just, because there's so much money on the line and time is of the essence, right? So they're just like, oh, they're booking you because you did the thing. Like in the case of the film that I was just booked in, it's like a supporting role. I'm not there to do anything special. They just want to know that I can like be a piece to move the story along. So that's why they hired me, and then they're not going to be spending much time telling me about the intricacies of my character. They're just hiring me.
Right.
I presented in the audition.
Right.
Yeah,
Nobody's worried about your motivation.
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's interesting, and I just finished. Well, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I did a commercial. It was a YouTube like film commercial, and
Yeah.
I'm noticing a trend with especially young film directors who are coming out of college. And I noticed that they have a hard time talking to actors or talking about motivation. I get a lot of line readings, like, read it this way or read it that way. It's almost like doing voice work. It's like, can you lower your voice or whatever? Like they don't know how to talk about motivation. Have you noticed that, Norman? I mean, having worked you did a little bit of work in film, right?
I've done a little, yeah. No, the first thing I figured out was, oh, because I did, and I talked about this before on the show. I got to the last season of Nash Bridges. I got to do a show, and I'm on there. I'm so excited. It's one of those gigs that all the local actors seem like they're getting. I felt like I finally got my shot. Yay! So I get on set, and the director's just real casual, friendly, and says, "So why don't we just want to make sure that we got this, got this set the way we want it. So why don't you guys just run through it one time and let's see what it is." So we run through it, thinking it's just going to be like we're just checking lights and like you would do in theater. We finished, and they're like, "Okay, that's good. Let's move on. Set up for the next shot." And I was like, "Whoa!" So I spent the rest of the night every time they said shoot something again, I was like, what else can I do with this? Because
You may not have
I
another
might get one
opportunity.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The work really becomes like something you do on your own, right?
Yep.
The more you put into it offset, the more options you have when the moment comes. Because yeah, if you don't do that, there's not a lot of opportunity to what do you call it? Explore it in the moment.
Right. Yeah. You better be flexible.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I guess because every time I watch can you guys hear me? I don't know if my volume.
Yeah. No, I hear
Okay,
you.
no, it's fine. But when I watch a television show or a movie and I see, let's say, some really bad acting, or let's say I don't know what the motivation is coming from. Now I'm getting an understanding. It's like, if you have a director who is really focused on the shot or the look or anything that has nothing to do with motivation, and you have an actor similarly who's not focused on the work that theater actors do, then you could sort of understand this sort of, I don't want to say plasticky, but just very surface type emotions.
Mm.
And one of the things that I appreciate about theater is that you really get into, okay, so why is the actor doing this, or why is the character doing this, so what's the motivation? Would you
Well,
went
like
to
Aaron said, though, it's you. If the more you do that work on your own, the more you can bring it to the experience. It's not that they don't want it, they just don't have time to sit there and fuss with it.
Yeah, they're allowing the actor to do it on their own, which means you have to, like, I remember, Christopher Nolan was talking about Batman and how Heath Ledger sort of locked himself in a room and just focused on the character Joker on his own, while the other, while Christopher Nolan and other, the film folks are doing other things. So by the time he's actually on the camera, he's got the character right there without any work or any
Right.
help from the director. So yeah, I totally get what you get. If the actor is motivated towards doing that, but I guess if you're not, then you're not going to get cast. So,
Right.
um,
Well, or you're going to be natural. Because there
yeah,
are lots of
that's right.
actors who just understand what this relationship is to the camera. They totally get it. Actually, so the piece I'm working on, the solo piece, at one point he talks about a Gregory Hines interview and says that was a key point in his experience, in this performer's experience, was hearing that interview. And I was like, that's really cool. So I dug around and I found the interview. And so what I wanted him to do, he talks about that he's doing drugs, sitting around doing drugs, and this interview is playing, and suddenly he stops. So I said, I want to see that moment of you going, and you get ready to do another one, and then you stop, and then you just watch. And when we first did it, it was a 40-second clip, and he sat there the whole time. And I was like, wow, that's a long time, but it was working, right? The next time we went to record it, he barely took 10 seconds and he just rushed through. And I was like, dude, I need you to just really just sit with this. And so I told him, and I've told this story before, when Sean Penn directed Colors, Robert Duvall was the actor in it. And Sean Penn tells the story of, it was his first directing thing. He's a young guy. Here's Duvall, this veteran, he's nominated for The Godfather. Just, this is who he's working with. So there's a scene where he plays a cop, and I think a death has happened or some incident, and he has to tell the family what's going on, but he has to do it in that sort of official capacity. But we want to see that the character knows this was fucked up, but he's not going to say that. So they shoot the scene, and it's a close-up. They shoot the scene. He doesn't see any reaction. He's looking for a reaction. He doesn't see it. So he's like, "Oh shit! It's Robert Duvall. I ain't gonna say nothing to him. That's great, Bobby. That's great. Let's just shoot it again to have a safety." So they shoot it again. Same thing. Doesn't see anything. So then he's like, and this was way back in the day. So he lies and says there was a hair in the gate. Let's take it one more time. So now he's sitting right behind the camera, the DP, and he's looking in the camera at Duvall, does the take, same thing. So I was like, well, okay, I can't say anything to him about this. I'll just look at the dailies and see what we got, and then I'll come up with an excuse if I have to. He looks at it in the dailies, every shot, it's there. Every shot. And so I tell this to my actor, my performer, because I'm like, dude, you gotta trust that you're having this relationship with the camera. As long as you are engaged in your process and it's happening, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see what we need to see. And you can sit there in silence for literally 25 seconds and we're gonna buy it.
Yep. And it's one of those things where I guess you have to see it in the camera. Or you have to, what you may see off, because I know a lot of directors, they're not behind the camera, so they don't really know what the camera's picking up.
Right.
And so it takes looking in the dailies to
Well,
see.
he didn't. Right, he didn't see it until it was projected on a big screen, and then he was like, "Oh, damn, it's there in every take."
And I'm sure Robert Duvall was like, rolling his eyes, like, "Listen."
Well, he never said anything to Duvall about it. So,
and I'm sure Duvall didn't say anything to him. Yeah. No, I totally get it.
No, I bet Duvall was like, "What the fuck? What are you? Why are we taking it again?"
Right. So Aaron, I mean, acting in the Bay, is the Bay giving you what you want? I mean, are you frustrated, or are you satisfied? Do you want to move on to, let's say, Los Angeles or New York? What's your state as an actor in the Bay? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously under COVID, things have been ground to a halt, right? I was really looking forward to in 2020 to do a bunch of theater just to keep practicing, getting more experience, and involving myself in the community there. And so that didn't happen. But I mean, commercial work kept up, so I did a couple commercials, one of which sounds like you saw. But but long term, yeah, I've definitely been looking to move to LA. So at the moment, I'm looking for doing some research and trying to find some representation down there, having just come off this Netflix feature. But for me, I think it's really up in the air at the moment, just because I don't know how things are going to pan out. Like I was planning to move to LA in November, and just with the spikes in cases of coronavirus, I just felt
Right. Yeah. That's not the place you want to go right now.
right. There's not like a bunch of work. It's not like, because I kind of really wanted to take a couple years to really dive into theater just to become a better actor. Just because I feel like I like I like this idea of being a craftsman, and theater gives me a more opportunity to do that in some ways, and then the whole time be looking at film work to jump into as I get more experience. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's an adequate answer, but
No. I totally understand. It's funny. Here's a question I'll ask to both of you because, I have a day job and I could never imagine, and maybe it's just fear or maybe I'm just being a chicken of, let's say, quitting my day job and just being a full blown actor and just having an agent and just, not all of my income is totally on my art.
mm,
And I've never conceived that I could really do that. I mean, not that I'm not talented enough or whatever, but what is it like? I guess I'll ask you, Norman. I mean, do you ever fear,
Yeah.
oh my
Put me
God,
on
I'm
the spot. Yeah.
but I mean, you've been doing it for a very long time, never having, I don't think you ever had like a 9 to 5 job or whatever, or, how's it been?
I
Just
have. I quit my last 9 to 5 job in 1998.
wow. But you sustained yourself. I mean, you've done very, very well. I guess the question is how.
Well,
I mean,
I've sustained myself.
but is it constantly every day searching for a new job? I mean, is that the life?
Well, it's so funny because, of course, at this point, I know, like, and lots of people here know, Coleman Domingo was in Bay Area theater, went to New York, bounced back and forth, and then just started to blow up. And so now he's in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
mm,
And I look at that and I'm like, I remember, I've been on stage with Coleman. I remember Coleman. Um, Coleman knows how to hustle. Coleman knows how to take advantage of those opportunities. Coleman kept doing it. I'm more of the, oh, you didn't cast me. Like, I don't know how many times I've auditioned for Berkeley Rep. And I swear, I went in there one time and I felt like the woman was looking at me like, why are you back here?
oh,
But I also had another audition where she stopped. She said, that was really good. And I said, oh, thanks. She said, no, that was really good. Here's what we're doing next season. Let's talk. I was like, whoa, okay. So on those bad days, yeah, I might go home with my tail between my legs and not try. The next year when they have their generals again, I might go, no, I'm not going back this year.
yeah,
And so knowing, I got to find some way to keep my head straight so that I can get up and go and do that next one. No, I'm content to be local, and I'm always hoping to find that next opportunity locally. If something someplace else were to happen, that's great, but I'm not going and chasing it. Coleman, when he was first gone, he got to New York, and like everybody else, he got a few gigs, but he was hustling another job. At one point, he was bartending. I remember this because Cal Shakes kept hiring him to come back for their summer program. And then Berkeley Rep would hire him. And then it got to the point where they were like coordinating. So he'd get to do a show at Cal Shakes and then do maybe the season opener at Berkeley Rep. And he's hanging out. And so we're walking. I bump into him on Telegraph. We're walking down the street. And I'm like, oh, damn. Coleman. So, hey, what's happening? What show are you doing now? Ha ha, you're back in town again. Coleman Domingo, I say, the New York actor. And he said, Norman, in New York, I am a bartender.
mm,
And that was deep to me because as a Bay Area actor, Berkeley Rep is where we want to be. Cal Shakes is where we want to be. They're calling him and flying him in, or not flying him in. At first, they were not flying him in. Those last few times, they were flying him in, they were housing him, and they were giving him a car.
wow,
But at that point, still in New York, he was hustling, a regular job. It's, yeah, you do what you do. And the last story I'll add into this is at one point I was a teaching artist for Berkeley Rep. And we would do these residencies at different high schools. And then you bring the kids to see the current show at Berkeley Rep. So they did an adaptation of Oliver Twist. Brought my kids. At the end, we got to do a talk back. Wonderful. So these are all New York actors on the tour from New York with this show. The show has already been on Broadway and is now touring the country. And one of the kids asked how many of them this is their regular job. And the guy playing Fagin, who had a regular recurring role on Law and Order, he was one of the like DAs. He was one of the guys that was always losing to the main characters. And you know, so every season he would maybe get 4 or 5 episodes a season. That was his other gig. He said, show of hands, everybody on stage, show of hands, who doesn't either have another job or a partner who is the primary support. Every hand went up on stage. These are New York actors. You know, there is, most of us are working in the trenches.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And you know, that's a very important story. Aaron, I mean, do you feel the stress of, you know, supporting yourself, or, you know, continuing to look for a job perpetually? I mean, or are you pretty comfortable? I mean, you know, it sounds like you're getting a job pretty quickly, regularly.
Definitely not supporting myself off of acting at this point. I work as a soccer coach. Actually, I quit my quote day job. When I got cast in this Netflix movie, I was sitting in the trailer and I was like, you know what, I don't want to coach soccer teams anymore. And so I quit that, and I've been doing private coaching, which has been great during COVID, ironically, just because kids are like with nothing to do, right? But so yeah, I mean, if I didn't have that, it'd be a lot more difficult. And I also have my parents who live in the Bay, and I'm able to stay with them if I need to. So I'm really grateful for the flexibility that allows me. At the moment, I'm actually in Ashland, Oregon, where my girlfriend's parents have a place that we were able to stay. So there's been so many things that have like fallen into place for me to allow me to focus on my art right now. You know, so I don't have to worry about hustling that hard, because honestly, it just doesn't feel like the opportunities are there right now to be able to survive off of acting, especially with where I'm at in my career. I'm not Coleman Domingo by any stretch.
Well, not yet, but you're getting there. But no, I mean, I think a lot of us, because, you know, when I remember when I first, you know, got into Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and of course, all of us young kids were like, oh yeah, you know, it's fame, and we're going to make it big. We just need to be discovered, and everything will be wonderful. And I remember, I mean, one story, a good friend of mine, Crystal Rivers, who was in Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee joint, and we were like, wow, Krista made it. You know, she's going to be rich and all that stuff. And I remember a couple of years later riding on the Metro, which is DC's version of BART, and she was on there, and I was like, "Oh, Krista, what's going on? You know, what show are you doing? What movie are you in?" She's like, "I've got a day job. I mean, you know, I had my little thing, but it's gone." And a lot of times it happens that way, and you know, it is what it is. So, but one question that I had for Norman, so Aaron, it sounds like you. I mean, you're getting in, but you're sort of. I think you're in your. I thought you were a millennial, but it sounds like you're a little older than a millennial. Would you consider yourself a millennial?
Yeah, no, I think I'm a millennial. This is
Okay,
born in 88, right? That's the cutoff, right?
you're in your early 30s, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm 32. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Norman, what's the difference between directing a young actor, let's say someone who's just coming out of school, and an older actor who's coming into the theater for the first time? I mean, is it easier? Is it harder? Is it? Um, you understand the question?
Yeah. Well, so this solo work that I'm working on, and this is through Afro Solo. And if you don't know about Afro Solo is an incredible organization. It's been around since I think '94. Thomas Simpson created it. It came out of a birthday party he threw for himself, and a bunch of his friends were performers. And then everybody was so excited about it, they did it again the next year. And then he created a formal organization. And so it started off as just theater. And that was back in the day when solo theater was happening across the country. Spalding Gray was huge. I got involved shortly after that, and I've done a piece, and I've directed a lot of pieces. Every performer is different. So I directed a young guy who was coming out of ACT. The guy I'm directing right now, Vernon, has been doing theater in the Bay Area since the 70s. You know, the spectrum is huge. Vernon doesn't have formal training. So that vocabulary, that way of working, not necessarily going to work for him. On the other hand, he's an amazingly hard worker. And he does something, and it's so funny. I can't, because I'm not good about this, maybe this impresses me a lot. Every rehearsal, I showed up at, he was there. I get there 10 minutes before, he's there. I'm like, good, yay, we can get to work because I'm not waiting on somebody. But what I learned by working with Afro Solo is every performer was different. Everybody had their own thing. So there's some people who are really responsive to that sort of established vocabulary of theater. On the other hand, there's some people who have all that knowledge and they're prickly. They're so prickly. So I learned that whole range of stuff. And what I've learned, and because I teach also, I had to learn once I felt really confident about my teaching to turn that off when I go into the directing. I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to work with you. So that's where film comes in again. As a film director, you don't have time to let's stop and talk about the scene and blah, 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 blah. Do you know your lines? Are you ready to go? It's a Spencer Tracy thing. Know your lines, don't bump into the furniture. you
I
know?
hadn't heard about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and you need to trust it's the collaborative aspect of this. You need to trust that your performer has something to contribute. And your job as a director is to figure out what they have to contribute and then make sure that that fits in the overall vision of what you're doing.
yeah, no, I totally hear you. And a lot of because there are a lot of young actors. They may know the language or the lingo, the jargon, but they may not have the life experience, and they may be prickly, just as you said. Where a lot of older actors, I always wonder because I remember a good friend of mine, Bob Zick, and we had him on the A. He was directing John Hutchinson, who has also been on the A, and John had been the Hutch had been involved in theater for well over half century, and
Mm-hmm.
so he knew all sorts of things. But he had his little habits, and it took a while for Bob, who was a young director, to sort of break Hutch out of the habit or to get him to the character that he wanted him to be. So he had to find a new language to talk to Hutch.
Yeah.
And the other actor was a younger individual, so it's I'm always impressed with the directors who know the different languages to speak to different actors, because that's a whole different talent that I think I have, but I've never directed in my life. But that's a talent that I really respect of directors. Have you had some memorable, I don't know, directors, or is there a way that you want to be approached, Aaron, when you are, when you're acting?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think when I first started, I wanted like daddy to hold my hand and tell me exactly what to do.
Right.
I realized that that's just me not knowing or feeling confident in what my process is. And so then I would also like hold on to like what you like. I was a little prickly maybe in terms of like all these like technical terms I was learning, and being like, oh, this is the way it has to be, or this, And now I think of it more as a toolbox. So if someone can, I'm interested in working with people who are introducing me to a new language or something. Like I don't know. I feel very open and flexible, and I'm curious about how other people work because I feel like every new director has a different way of doing things, and I pick something up off of them, and that's exciting to me. So I don't know that I have a specific person that I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, maybe not yet. What type of work do you like to do? I mean, are you into comedy? Are you into serious stuff? Like, would there be a dream project that you would want to work on? What type of an actor are you?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of, man. Well, I definitely, when I make my own stuff, I like love. I'm such a goofy person in my heart, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I really enjoy like comedy or specifically like farce, like satire kind of work. And so one person I kind of hold in high esteem is Jordan Peele, and so I would love to work on a project with him because I don't know, watch just being a person of mixed ethnicity, watching him and what's the other guy's name, Keegan Michael Key do their sketch comedy show was like really
Yeah.
impactful. That's just like, oh, I've never seen anyone that like has the life background as I do uh, doing this kind of work. And then I'd say dramatically, I don't know, I that feels like the place that's more challenging for me, and so it's not like such a comfort zone, and so I actually like I really enjoy challenges and think that's where I want to like put most of my efforts moving forward. And then just like total pipe dream, I want to play a Jedi.
Nice.
You're trying to get into the Star Wars, what is it? The universe, I guess. That's what they're calling it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the cinematic universe. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that'll be cool. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other. Norman, do you have any questions?
Well, so just to sort of back up to you got you said your first show in the Bay Area was Contra Costa.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
the way. Yeah,
all the way.
That's not that long ago.
yeah.
That's,
It wasn't that long ago at all.
yeah.
Yeah, that was about a year and a half ago, I want to say. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just came back from Finland, hopped into studying, and that was the first show I did. And yeah,
That's kind of cool. What are the other places you kind of bounced around?
what do you mean, the theater world or
Yeah,
just?
theater world. Yeah.
Let's see. That's like literally the only theater show I've done.
Oh, your
How did?
focus has been more film.
Yeah. How did Susan Evans discover you when you did the Brecht Project?
So Kim Donovan,
Well, yeah,
Yay!
yay, Kim.
no, sorry, Kimberly Ridgway. I met Kim
Oh,
Donovan.
that's okay. Yay, Kimberly Ridgway. We love
We
her.
love both of them. Yes.
I met Kimberly through the acting studio I was studying at because at the time Ubuntu Theater was renting out that space that we rented from the Waterfront Playhouse, and so
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I met Kimberly there in passing, and she just like noticed me, and like I gave her a headshot at some point, and then she like contacted me on Facebook, like, "Hey, we're looking for some actors," and then I went and auditioned for Maryland at CCT, and then that's how I got into that show.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Also, so Kim Ridgway pulled you to do the Brecht Project as well.
That's right. Yeah. So she's kind of like my unofficial agent, I think.
Well, she pulled me in. As a matter of fact, next week on the 16th, I'll be doing I think it's Dragon Theater, Dragon
Yeah, Dragon
Productions.
Theater. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing an online thing, and she's dragged me into that as well. No, Kimberly Ridgway is awesome. Kim Donovan is awesome as well. So both, but Kimberly Ridgway, she's a hustler. She's a mover and a shaker. She's really creating
Definitely.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how much she has going on. She actually pulled. I did a Dragon Theater thing last week or 2 weeks ago. The one,
Uh-huh.
right, actually right before the New Year. So yeah, there was that, and then obviously your the Brecht piece. Yes.
Yeah. And you did a
You're
fantastic
traveling in
job.
good company.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did you enjoy doing the Brecht Project?
Oh,
Was that a
well,
cool experience for you?
yeah, it was great to meet. It was really cool to just drop into. It seemed like you guys had all worked together before, and there was just like familiarity you all shared, and it was fun to be part of that. And then I just loved your piece so much. Like I don't know, I like read all of them, and I was really excited to get cast as that because I don't know, just as someone, a person of color in this role, where I got to play this like real nasty dude.
Yeah, and you didn't play him nastily. I mean, you were very, very cool and very deliberate, and that's absolutely perfect. Sometimes you can be a little too on the nose,
Right,
and
right.
you did it just right. No, yeah, that's fantastic. I did have another.
You had a follow up.
I thought I had a follow up, but
Well, I will say
go
because
ahead.
you kind of mentioned it's funny we talk about these people who've managed their careers in such ways, gone on to such things, um, and if we were going to point to anything in 2020 in terms of careers, we have to talk about Chadwick Boseman,
Right.
Oh
and
yeah,
and I was not that aware of him until Black Panther. I was not aware of him, and then I realized there were all these movies. And the thing was, for me, because I lived most of that history, I didn't want to see it. Thurgood Marshall, I didn't live. I was kind of curious about that, but didn't care about sports. Didn't care about James Brown. Not my favorite person. Great musician. Not my favorite person. Um, and I realized, wow, and then the way everybody's been talking about him since he died, you get the sense that he was a really hardworking actor. That's true of a lot of people, but he also was managing his career in an amazing way so that he was finding these opportunities that felt meaningful. Like when he was being interviewed after Black Panther, there was a way where he was almost embarrassed. He was so humble. And I was like, I wonder what that's about. Is this just this happy actor going, wow, I'm getting all this attention? And I think it's much more of I picked up a gig because I felt like it was in my wheelhouse. It was what I wanted to be doing. And yet, now it's got this huge response, and people don't know what I'm getting ready to do next. They have no idea. And you can tell in that last performance. And Ma Rainey, that performance, he is so kind of goofy at moments. Um,
And I'm
that
sure
there's an actor just having a great time doing a performance. And I'm like, these opportunities don't necessarily come to you, but you do get to choose how you want to approach them.
Mm.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Ma Rainey's Black Bob. I haven't seen it as of yet, but I've seen some clips,
Ooh.
and it's because I recognize Chadwick Boseman, and you remind me a lot of him, Aaron, because you're very, just grounded, and I don't see the bubbly side. Just like I never saw the bubbly side of Chadwick Boseman until Ma Rainey. I'm like, oh wow, there's a different side of him.
Yeah.
And those are some wonderful moments, when you see an actor, whether it's on stage or on film, and you see a totally different side. Um, like
Well,
Heath Ledger.
you can see Five Bloods too, which I don't think is a great movie.
Yeah.
Performances are really good. His performance, and it's another character where I was like, whoa, okay, look at that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's a question. I had forgotten the question. Now I found the question. But you mentioned you're into writing. I mean, you do write some things as well, don't you, Aaron?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. What
So what are some of the things that you write about?
Um, well, I have right now I have this little writing group with my friends. It's kind of actually like kind of back to what I was saying about comedy. Like I find it really easy to write like kind of satire about what's going. Like I grew up watching South Park, so I think that's my mind state with that. I just like finding the irony in current events and whatnot. Like so, I don't know if you guys have been following cryptocurrencies, but I've been like kind of fascinated by this like emotional hype and this roller coaster of like trading stock
Oh
trading,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
like I mean
yeah.
it's been a big news story in 2020, right? And so I've got this like little I've been trying to develop some like TikTok pieces just to explore that medium with some of my friends about with these like characters who are like terrible traders of cryptocurrencies, like following their emotional swings.
Oh yeah.
One thing I've been doing, and then I have a couple other screenplays that I've been working on for a long time, which I'll keep under wraps until.
Right.
Yeah, don't give up any of your secrets. Yeah,
Yeah,
cryptocurrency, that's, I mean, and there are all sorts of, I mean, not just Bitcoin, but there are all sorts of like
There's
just
a
strange
whole
coins.
world. Yes.
Yeah,
it's
like
a rabbit hole to jump into.
every
Well, and
social
my
media.
son, so my
Mhm.
son got was in a car. He was in a bike accident,
Oh
and they
no.
got a settlement. So he got this money, and he apparently put just $100, but $100 into, I don't know if it was Bitcoin or what it was.
Yeah,
And right now it's up to like 127. So he's like, wow, it's been a year. And
right,
he's
right.
like, wow, I wish I'd put more money in that. And it's like, yeah, but are you reading those other stories?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, you could totally lose it.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
happened.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, similar thing happened to me. Like I had put it like back in the last like 2017. I put some money in, forgot about it, and then like I went and checked in August, and like I randomly put it in some cryptocurrency that called Link, and then that had like 10x or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, like $1,600 here. Yeah, so
Woo!
Of that dollar, if you can spend it, if you can
yeah,
convert it, then
Well, you
then you
can.
got something. I guess one last question because we're hitting the 1 hour mark. I guess you've talked about you wanting to go to LA. I mean, is there? I guess the question is about the future. I mean, do you want to get into? You may be equity already. Are you equity? Are you SAG-AFTRA? Are you are part of any union?
yeah. No, I just became SAG eligible when I did this Netflix feature, so
Hmm.
planning to join the union here pretty shortly. Yeah,
Yeah, smart.
Right on. So I guess you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years, probably in LA doing film. I mean, do you want to? Do you see theater as sort of a jumping point to bigger and better things? And also, do you want to do like, let's say, YouTube videos, and you're already doing TikTok, but there are all sorts of other mediums that you can use.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that keeps me sane is doing my own work. Like when coronavirus first hit, I made a whole YouTube series called Basement Theory about this guy who's a conspiracy theorist in his mom's
Hmm.
basement, coming up with all the reasons why coronavirus is I don't know. There's just so much stuff around that I find really interesting. But I guess moving forward, like Yeah, I went to LA recently to go visit and scope out some houses, and every time I go there, I'm driving on the freeway looking at all the cars and just like it's not the Bay Area. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I'm just such a nature guy that I don't know that I could actually settle there. So I have this vision of being able to drop in and drop out, or maybe someday when I have enough money, like own a place there and not have to like spend all my time there. But the goal is to become a working actor and have a reputation where I can get
Sweet.
projects, and follow my interests and not be like at the whim of, or
Mm,
not be in this position of like begging for work.
right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I totally hear you. You should send us the links to, if you have any YouTube videos, so people can see your work.
And
Okay.
if you have a script for two old black guys, hey,
There you go. There you go.
I'll definitely give you guys a mind. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, folks who are listening or watching this, Aaron Jones is a fantastic actor, really, really tight. And so if you're looking for for a person, and of course, in the end of this, we'll have a link to your. Do you have a webpage or anything like that?
I don't have a webpage. I have the Instagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In any case, let's get into shout outs, birthdays.
well, I'm gonna try and skip the ones that I know you have, but including today. But Stephen McLeod, young actor, Bay Area actor, birthdays today.
Yep,
Van
we've
Duke.
had him on.
Hmm?
Remember we had him on? Yeah.
See, I try. Um, got another one I'm skipping. Van Duke is an actor I got to do a weird adaptation of Alice in Wonderland with. And he's actually an old friend of Coleman Domingo's. He now spends, I think, all of his time as a personal trainer, and he was one of the ones to get in early on the virtual thing, so way before COVID. I'm sure he must be very comfortable right now. Kelly Hopkins is a woman who was sort of the office manager for Each One Reach One. So all that work that I used to do in juvie, and I was just talking to somebody about that recently and saying, I don't know that I'm ever going to get to do any of that again. That era may be gone, but she was somebody who kind of helped keep us on the right track. Carolina Moronis is somebody I met because her sister Regina was the lead in As You Like It last summer with Cal, not last summer now, a year and a half ago with Cal Shakes, not Cal Shakes, San Francisco Shakes. And she's now, I think, working with ACT. I saw that and I was like, whoa,
I
nice.
think I acted with her. I think we did Women on the Verge.
Ah, oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Michael Anthony Torres runs the program at Laney College, is a founding member of Campo Santo. His birthday is coming up this week. Greg Bryan, when you meet people who look like somebody else, I knew another actor, and Greg Bryan looked just like him, and I kept thinking somebody should do Comedy of Errors or something like that, where you need two, cousins, brothers, whatever. Amazing comic actor. Danielle Kane is somebody I met when I did a show up in Santa Rosa, up in the North Bay, and I didn't know there was such a vibrant theater scene up there. And she is actor and director. I'm not sure she's still centered up there, but she's still in the Bay Area. Griffin O'Connor was one of our interns on As You Like It when we did that a year and a half ago. Rich Sargent, I met as a stage manager for a show I got to do at the not Gene Shelton, but the Shelton Studio. It had been started by Gene Shelton. Shelton Studio did a production there, and it turns out he actually has a little theater company. I think they're called Left Edge. They do shows up at Tahoe. So I've always thought somebody should do that. Take your little Bay Area show and take it someplace else. He does that. So I'm really impressed with him. Kristen Muir is somebody I met when she was a young woman, and now she is a mother of, I believe, two. Young actress when I met her. Danielle Levin, and I got to there are the Shakespeare plays that nobody knows about. One of them is called Cymbeline. It is a
Oh, yeah.
bizarre play, and it is mostly known for the trunk scene. There's a bedroom scene where he climbs out of a trunk to he has made a bet that he can get with her, and he goes in while she's sleeping in her bedroom. He gets a trunk delivered to her room, climbs out of the trunk, and so that's the big trick in the show is how do you deliver this trunk and make it seem like it's real. And we had the smallest box possible. I played the villain. We had the smallest box possible that I could climb up through, and of course they did a trapdoor thing. It was very fun. Anyway, I had never met her before that, and she's this amazing actress, and she now works up at Pixar. So I'm not sure if she does much stage at all anymore. Those are my birthdays for the week.
Okay, mine are quick. Today, Craig Dickerson, he is 57 years old. Happy birthday, Craig! A fantastic actor. He's now in,
Amazingly.
yeah, he's in Texas, and he was a longtime Eastenderer. That was a company that I was involved in for a long time, headed up by Chuck Polly, the late Chuck Polly, and Susan Evans.
Wonderful musician also.
Yes, guitars. We've jammed a
And
couple of
piano.
times. Yeah, and piano. No, he's fantastic. Also today, Rona Siddiqui, who is now on Broadway. She's a Broadway. Excuse me.
Salute.
Thank you. She's a Broadway. I believe she wrote or helped wrote Kinky Boots, and
Ah,
she was a. I met her. We were part of the Darkroom Theater, and had wonderful times there. And now she's gone to bigger and better things. Her birthday's today. Also, going on. Oh yes, tomorrow. Paul Baird McCormick. His birthday is tomorrow, January the 10th. He was sort of a sex symbol. We did Hedda Gabler, and he was the love interest of Hedda. And I tell you, the ladies just oohed and awed when he was on the stage. So his birthday, I think he's in L.A. His birthday is tomorrow. Also, Casey DeCaney. I'm trying to remember where I remember her from, where we acted. I think she was involved in an Eastender play, but her birthday is on Wednesday. On Thursday, Angel Andidukan. You probably remember her. She was the young black actress that we had on the Yay.
oh,
Remember, she had the very high voice.
uh-huh.
She was a singer, and I acted with her. We did a play by Lynn Aylward, and she's a really, really wonderful presence.
Local playwright. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Angel Andidukan, her birthday is Thursday. And that is it. Those are the birthdays that I have. Any shows that you want to?
I just got the playground that's coming up on the 18th. And my play is, oh gosh, I should have it right here. It's, of course, it's a local playwright. We're going to be the opener. Where is it? Here it is. It is called.
I can jump in if
Go
you
ahead.
need time. I got an email from Jay Cronengold, and he will be involved in Shakespeare in Place, which will be performing tomorrow, only tomorrow,
Ah.
online at 6:30, and I'll have a link to that. And did you?
Well, we've got so ours is the play is called Now and Then We Lose Everything. Playground does during the normal theater season they do one evening a month, 6 short pieces under one theme. The theme this month is reunification. And it was interesting because I was one of the readers of the plays, and how many people wrote about exes, ex-lovers getting back in touch with each other right now. And this is another play like that. So it's a fun piece. It's got a nice trick to it that I don't want to give away. And I was thrilled when they said we were going to open the evening. So it'll be 7 o'clock a week from Monday on the 18th.
Nice. Aaron, do you have anything you want to promote before we close things up?
Yeah, sure. If you want to check me out on Netflix, the movie's called A California Christmas. Um,
Ah,
yeah, like a little Christmas movie. It's a bit late for that, but then I got my YouTube channel is includes YouTube slash like Basement Theory. You search Basement Theory. Uh,
Yeah, if you send me the link, then people can just click onto it. We'll
Great.
we'll have it on there.
That's easier. Yeah. Let's do that.
Very, very cool. Aaron, did you enjoy yourself today?
Yeah, it was great. Great talking to you guys. Yeah, first kind of professional podcast.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having us on. I mean, for being a guest for us.
yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah.
And of course, we are on YouTube, and we want to thank everyone who has liked and subscribed us so far. I think we have maybe 20, 25. We're growing. I don't think it's ever going to be 10,000, 20,000 or anything like that.
Oh,
But
you never know. We have to talk actually.
Good.
I got good news for you.
Awesome. I'd love to hear that. So, in any case, for those who are watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like, and hit the thumbs up. And that's it. And for those who are listening to us, we're on every single podcast app out there. We're also on Spotify. If you're an Android user, you can use the SoundCloud app or just go on soundcloud.com and you'll find us. And of course, if you're using a iPhone or iPad like me, then you can use the purple podcast app and you can find us. The Yay was created by theater people for theater people. If you have a show you want to advertise, or if you just want to advertise yourself, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I really don't use Snapchat that much anymore. But anyways, I'm at Reg Space Clay.
And I'm at Who's Your Hoosier.
Do you have any social media? Are you on Instagram or Snapchat? And also, you're on TikTok.
Aaron? TikTok hasn't happened yet. We're building that, but I'm on Instagram at ARJonesy. So ARJONSIE.
Right on, and we'll have a link to that as well. Thank you so much, folks. Have a wonderful weekend, and as Norman and I always say,
we gotta find a better
sign off, and we are